Hey there, welcome to the channel. This is my cat, Cinnamon, one of my cats. She doesn't play with me all the time, but she just had lunch, so she's pretty happy. Yeah. Okay. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you've been hanging out the past couple weeks, welcome back. Those videos I had the past week or so have been pre-recorded, in part because I didn't know if the channel was going to get any traction, so here we are, maybe 10 days later, and I've gotten great feedback. Everyone's been enjoying the Uzuri gameplay, so I'm going to try to have more like real time, if you will, interaction going forward. Kind of have the space between videos be the time I'm actually recording. We'll see if I can do that. I'm still going to record a backlog, I think, just in case. But it should be fun to kind of iterate on the decks that I play, along with the chat or the comments. So with that, let's go to the deck. And I just want to talk about some of the changes that you've probably seen already if you've been following along. So the version history has kind of this yellow troubles, named because I've had yellow double trouble in the deck. And this is what you've seen in the past few videos, but I have some changes that, at least in theory, I like quite a bit. And maybe you've seen the changes already because I do post just the deck list, and you can go through the version history in any of the videos that you like. So changes here. Down on a playset of blue stealth, we'll see how the resource base gets impacted by this. Same with down yellow double trouble. So basically, I kind of had this idea, what if we tried to put in cards that make the opponent dead faster, and then every time we play the stealth card, they're kind of in that classic assassin tough spot near the end of the game. So we have Scar for a Scar instead, and this kind of has the double roll of, while your count your blessings are not online yet, you should be lower life. So Scar for a Scar, kind of you're trading life with them until finally the count your blessings catch you back up. And yeah, so this gets them closer to dead, closer to Uzuri hero power being quite annoying. And then the rest of the sideboard, I guess, is just kind of rounding out the deck. Codex of Bloodrot, fancy version, and Red Shred. Basically, they extend the hand against Enigma, as does Scar for a Scar. Kind of nice. And the third Sigil of Solace back to the deck because I do like all the healing. And it also, same idea with Scar for a Scar. You take the damage and then heal it back after go again. So now the default matchup looks like the following. I'll queue up a game, and if there's any more theory to discuss in the meantime, we can do that. I've been playing quite a bit of Living Legends, so if anyone wants an idea about that format, leave it in the comments. I have quite a bit of experience by now, and I could probably make an assassin deck or two that has a relevant time or a decent time into the meta. I think especially new, kind of an interesting that she hates on blues, and Zen and Starva are both very good. So yeah, interesting. All right, so anyway, there are some, I've had ideas about even the red double trouble, whether it's still worth it in the deck. So I want to keep an eye on that as we play. Like red double trouble and Razor's Edge are kind of a little package, if you will. They combo nicely together. And I want enough targets with the Razor's Edge. So if you have like the 6 double trouble and the Bonds of Agony and to some extent Persuasive, we're kind of doing okay. Still waiting on a game here. So the extenders, I would say, for the most part, you can do what you want here. They don't have to be Red Shred or Codex of Bloodrot. They could be the third looking for a scrap. They could be even extra like Weakest Link. I know some people like Death Touch as well. So you can experiment with the sideboard. So let me show you Enigma sideboard. Basically, the plan is you take out all the cards that aren't good into her, and ideally you have replacement options, which is basically how the deck is designed for now. It's like the entire sideboard can replace all of the healing cards into Enigma. Because she's such a big part of the meta, I think that's pretty relevant. And if the choices you make don't let that happen, Sink Below and Sigil of Solace are serviceable. They can do a job. Okay, we have Katsu, which I haven't played in a while. This is before his new Gustwave card. So let me just see the Zen sideboard, and I think this will be kind of relevant for Katsu as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually take out the one sigil that remains for Fate Foreseen, and we're just going to run it like this. I don't have a good hand for my hero power. I'm just going to consider whether I filter any of these reacts, and I think I won't, especially having the Sink Below. It's I don't think I need to give my opponent the choice to filter. My philosophy generally against Katsu is don't block the Kadachi, the second one, I should say, with armor or cards, because there's really no guarantee that they have something worth the Mask Momentum trigger going on. Here's a good example. So I think I'm just gonna defend for 6. If they use the Snapdragons, I'm fine with that, but they can't convert this extra card, and I'll just get 2, send to CNC. A little annoying that I don't have a stealth card to work with it, but they don't have a hand that defends when we blow up a Snatch. Okay, we got a leg tap line coming from the Katsu. That's pretty cool. I'm going to use my Sink Below and Arsenal to defend this. Clean 4-on-4. And I would sink if my hand wasn't great, so we're not going to. Okay, follow with Kadachi. My likely next play is present Bonds and swap into Shakedown. So the Censor really doesn't have a way to get me here. And I'm going to look to Arsenal the Codex, because I'll have a Command and Conquer ready to go following turn. Any reactions from my opponent here? Oh, okay. Just go ahead and Sink Below again. It can be maybe a little scary to have gone both, or well, 2 of my D-reacts gone, and not blocking anything super relevant. Okay, so they did choose Bonds of Agony, which is a clever choice, and it means I'm just gonna throw the Shakedown. There's, I would say, an argument to doing the a dagger first, but because I have the Vambrace, they pretty much always have to give me 2 cards, and then I'll be set up to use the Codex next turn without too much fear of a big hand from them. Yep, so here's 3 block. I expect another 3. Maybe they have a D-react, but there's no downside to doing the Vambrace. Okay, Flick and Arsenal. So it turns out if I had done the CNC play this turn, I would have stymied a Flick. So there's that. Here comes E-Strike for buff power. I'm actually not sure what I want to do at the moment. I think swapping into this CNC is what's appealing to me. And the reason is I get to keep my tunic for that same codex play that I was going to do. But now that I have such a compelling option with my hand here, and they like basically if I had a worse hand, I would probably be casting the codex, but I think this is totally fine. Ideally, this would be an isolate, but I think I'm happy to once again trade 2 cards with them if they have a D-React, and if not, I get my on hit. So for those who aren't aware, Katsu recently, maybe like 2 days ago, got a new card spoiled that it's like a blue, it'll come in for 4 if it's comboed, and you get to name any card at all. So you can sort of kind of get Bonds of Agony. No, Bonds of Ancestry. Bonds of Agony is our card. You can sort of get Bonds of Ancestry back in your classic constructed deck, at least in name, so you can try to dishonor people again. There might be some other cool stuff going on. Maybe you can make Zen state tokens with the Open the Center, I think it's called. No. Open the Center? Find Center. There, that's the name. Okay, pretty anemic turn from the opponent. So far, anyway. I have the Scar for a Scar that's looking pretty underwhelming, but I think that's in large part due to my opponent not having had many plays so far. I have a few lines. Obviously, I'm gonna defend the CNC. But how I choose to convert the rest of my hand is interesting. Like, for instance, I could block with Shred and Scar and my Mask and have, or my Boots for that matter, and have a Double Trouble line. That's weaker to a D-React. I could block with my 2 leftmost reds and do the Dagger CNC play with Codex. I think that's what I'm leaning toward. Use my tunic to actualize that. And I think what pushes it over the edge, this is a close choice here between the 2 lines. And I think what pushes it over the edge is they don't have an arsenal. So the Codex discard is like actual disruption on a hero that cares about a lot of cards in hand. And the equipment block can be pretty impactful. You know, you've got like breaking scales and mask momentum, so having breakpoint blocking on the equipment for real on hits, I think is where I want to be. So I would have used it on the Command and Conquer on hit, which is a real on hit, but yeah, like I say, these are just the thoughts that pushed it over the edge for me. And this ended up taking his whole hand. And what an excellent ponder, E-Strike. Okay, he's just gonna cross strap into the CNC, huh? I mean, I'm happy to see him use the chess piece in that scenario. Okay. So the bottom of my deck includes a yellow shred, so I'm going to put this surgical next to it, I think, with my own enlightened strike. And I'll come in for 7. So here's where this is the type of situation my opponent's been looking for, almost certainly. Yep. Okay, so they weren't disrupted and they start off with a surging strike. So my philosophy on Katsu used to be just always block the surging. I don't know how that's changed because they don't have Bonds of Agony anymore, so like their theoretical ceiling is not as high. We also saw them pitch 2 Mugenshi release a couple turns ago. So the likelihood they have the full combo line, if I let this hit, is lower. My hand is pretty cool though. I have some options. Okay, so I think because they've gone ahead and blocked the breaking skills already, I want to go like this. I want to block with these 2 cards and have Leave No Witnesses at the ready. And then if they do just have the combo line, I can still block. Okay, they just have it. So it's a good thing I blocked. Now the question is whether I just give up the rest of my hand. I would probably have to use both armor pieces if I want to stop this because of breaking skills. I could also think about whether they have an Ancestral in their hand, Ancestral Harmony. I think at this point, so if this hits, they get a Mugenshi. Yeah, and then I just have to block the Mugenshi. Yeah, I think I'm just going to give him a hand. Part of the strategy that I want to have against a combo deck is when they have their good hands. Not that Katsu is strictly a combo deck. I mean, he has combinations of cards that work well together. So the philosophy I want to have is something like when Katsu has his good hands, I'm blocking, and then when he has his medium hands, I'm coming back at him. Now I have a hand that really doesn't defend well at all. So I'm hoping to get some insight on what his turn is based on the tutor. Another red 100 wins means I think I'm just taking all this damage. It's not going to scale super exponentially because there's no, or I assume there's no way he can do the full Whelming Gust Wave line at this point. And he even goes E-Strike buff power, so maybe expecting me to block it. But no, that's not in my plans. So he gets a Massive Momentum trigger that goes nowhere. Wow, that kind of worked out perfectly for me. Now I gotta hope he puts like a cheeky 3-block on there. No, he doesn't. He's clever. All right, so we're just gonna cast the Count Your Blessings into the Codex. So what could have been really nice is if they had a Flick Flack and they Flick Flack the first scar, and then I get to do the second one. But alas, they've been kind of, I don't know, not great this game. Like I've pitched it twice, but I don't know. I think it's still, it did its job this turn cycle, and there was a chance that it did even better. And there's, also decent chance that I should have been even lower than him up to this point. He's had a couple of awkward draws. The Frailty stopping Kodachis is obviously really nice. So this is maybe an ideal time to draw these Count Your Blessing, because I know for certain at this point that there's no good turn incoming. So I'm just gonna defend for 3, and we're gonna cast both of these. And the question is whether I cast my stealth card as well. I have seen 3 CNCs and 2 shakedowns, and I think at least 2 surgical. So the cards that combo well with his bonds of attraction are pretty much only Justinic. And I've blocked with one of those as well. There aren't too many good ones. So I might just play this out. And if I get any blocks from the opponent, I'm pretty happy. And if not, then it is what it is. Okay, I'll just take the 2 life that it gets me here. Oh, I'm actually pretty happy to see. Is that the 3rd flick on? Looks like only the 2nd, but I'm pretty sure they've pitched one. Or yeah, maybe that was the turn they pitched double Mugenshi. They also pitched a flick to start the Karachi. Okay, I'll go for Command and Conquer. And then I'll play both my healing cards. Go to 29. Suppose Red Devil Trouble is another target, if you will, to swap into. I'm going to let the leg tap through. If the follow-up to this is... Oh, interesting. Okay, so I think I can just confidently put 6 block on the Whelming Gust Wave. Or perhaps 5. So what I could do is block with my 2 equipment and a 3 block, and then turn on this Bonds of Agony with all the equipment. That's something I can do. Plus maybe a shred. So maybe I do 6 block. Well, but no, then I use all the equipment anyway. Huh. That's kind of tricky. Kind of tricky how best to use this hand. I think it might end up being 5 block including armor. I think this is about as good as my armor block is going to get. Like if he has Ancestral Harmony, then so be it. He gets 2 card draw, but the tutor is already done. And then I'm gonna Spider's Bite into the Bonds of Agony, and then I get to keep one of my reacts around for later. Because I have Embrace. And I think the Spider's Bite is pretty solid here because again I'm like, I don't know, 80% sure I remember the 3rd flick going down to the bottom. So I'll just be trying to leverage that for this Spider's Bite having high impact on his blocks. Okay, so he doesn't give any blocks, which means I'm using all my equipment, but that is what it is. I have the shred to try to close out the game after they go to 10. I guess, in theory they could have Sink Below, but it's been 10 turns, so I doubt it. Depending on how this recording goes, I might actually do a double upload on today. This is Wednesday. Again, just trying to be a little more current or live with the videos. So pretty easy for me to choose the Ancestral. I could have taken a blue out of the hand, but just knowing exactly what, knowing that I don't have to play around this anymore that's a big deal. It lets me kind of defend a little more infrequently, I would say. Karachi leg tap is what's coming. I know that this leg tap can't be for more than 4. So I think I am gonna block. And the question is, what do I do with the rest? I could also maybe not block and just see what the worst is they can do, and then try to kill them on the crackback. That seems a little dubious to me, though. I'm actually not sure why. Oh, weakest link is in because I clicked the Zen sideboard because I didn't have a Katsu one. Okay, so maybe I just block with weakest link because it's kind of bad. Kind of bad here. I know they have a blue left. Yeah. All right. So let's do this. I know it's kind of weird just looking at this on the combat chain, but I know they have. Oh. Well, they had this blue left and a Razor Reflex unknown to me. All right. So I'm clairvoyant. I swear it was on purpose. So they get a random card off the top and the Katsu trigger. Okay. They discard a Lord of Wind. So this is going to work out a little bit worse for me than I would have liked because they're going to end up without an arsenal. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to shred my Leave No Witnesses. And that makes this CYB very dubious. Very, very dubious. You get Winds of Eternity. You got it. 2 damage. So I'm gonna let it hit. So it has no relevant text. So here's what I think I'm gonna try to do. I want for next turn to be the turn that I kind of push for lethal on the opponent with the shred, hopefully. So instead of holding the CYB, which does not push for lethal, I'm going to send a dagger into the Leave No Witness. My original plan, if it wasn't clear, was present this and then shred whatever they block with and arsenal the CYB, but here we are. They have something shreddable anyway. Kind of annoying. And I declined to use the shred because I figure it's better pushing an on hit. Of course, I've drawn no on hits, except for maybe this Bonds of Attraction. So I'll use the Sink Below, see if I can improve the hand. And if not, then this Codex is looking not good at all. Yeah. Well, this has backfired spectacularly. This whole sequence. I could have made the no nonsense line of just don't don't keep the shred there if you can help it. Okay. Yeah, you can undo that. No problem. If they give me something to shred, I'm gonna do it. Like, and then just Codex for Leave No Witnesses. Yeah, I end up losing a card, but it's better than what my hand was gonna do. Oh, I don't lose a card because I have the Vambrace, right? So I can actually turn this into a CNC. That is, yeah. I predicted that too. You see, I knew I was gonna have a shred target. No, I would say my play was pretty loose. I should have taken account of what turn it was, realized, oh hey, there's like a 30% chance I draw my final Codex, and probably just shredded the Flick Flack on the prior turn. Definitely got a lot of my plans messed up by their Razor Reflex. Did exactly the job I'm sure my opponent wanted. Wow, Spider's Bite's really good against Katsu, huh? He has like 3 Flick Flacks, and then otherwise Spider's Bite just kind of gets his whole deck. All right. Justin Nick goes nicely with my Double Trouble. But I think because the Enlightened Strike is lethal damage, I may consider buffing power and playing the CYB. I think there are fewer ways I lose if I cast the healing card, and then like the Justin Nick will always have targets, only thing to think about is maybe do they draw into Command and Conquer? They have one more copy. But no, I think the play that has me losing the fewest number of times goes with the E-strike into this healing. Okay, this hand is just as good, if not better, at killing the opponent. All right, CNC, very nice. And here we go, up to 11, and we're pretty sure no more D-reacts are left, so that will do it. My opponent definitely had some clunk with their draws. I think the sensor is very interesting. They did call it correctly the first time it hit, and gave them a clean block on my first shakedown of the game. I'm interested to see when Katsu does get the new card, what that means for him. I think it's basically like, it'll come after Whelming Gust Wave most of the time, I'm pretty sure. Though you could also use Descendant Gust Wave, because it specifies a card with just Gust Wave in the name. So maybe the Mugenshi line becomes good. Not sure. But okay, so on my side, as for the cards that we tried to play with today that are different, Scar for a Scar was okay. Not great, just okay. But I think if my opponent was doing their thing a little bit better, dealing more damage to me, then I may have even resolved all three of them. So that's something to look out for. The red Double Trouble, I had a very good red Double Trouble Razor's Edge turn if I wasn't trying to block out their whole Surging Strike combo line. I think the life totals say pretty much that this goes as you would expect. It's kind of a control deck doing its thing. So that's it for this video. I will see you in the next one, and probably play about the same list a couple times and maybe do some tweaks after that. All right, take care.